Hey folks, welcome to again another fantastic episode of our talks here of Healthcare Amplified Summit. I'm Patrick, my co-host James, and we are very privileged to have the Krisdee Clark, former Miss American, and she's here talking today about a really important topic, kind of about survivorship after breast cancer, her journey, and where she goes now after stardom.
Yeah.
So thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
Absolutely.
This is awesome.
So tell us a little bit about what you just did on stage at Healthcare Amplified Summit, and kind of why it's important, a little bit about your background as well.
Sure. So I'm a breast cancer survivor now, having been 4 years of survivorship. But the important thing is talking to those 1 in 8 women about empowering themselves in advocacy in their healthcare journey, especially when they're diagnosed with cancer.
Absolutely.
And then on top of that, thriving after breast cancer, because where do we go once we're diagnosed with something like this? We definitely want to thrive, and that's what I was here talking about today.
Well, I think it's amazing. And again, the space that we're kind of taking up here today at Healthcare Amplified, which is associated with PodFest here in Orlando, Florida, is giving podcasters, individuals that are involved in the health space as professionals, an opportunity to kind of get in touch with podcasters and maybe do some collaboration, get their messaging out there. So you come across, you've been Miss American, which is a little bit different than some of the other brands that are out there.
Yeah.
So what is that? Maybe you can tell us a little bit about what that looks like.
So the Mrs. America Inc. Incorporated,
Right.
They have 2 pageants, Mrs. America and Mrs. American. They're both for married women. So it was super amazing to be able to be on a stage like that. I was Mrs. South Carolina and then went on to be Mrs. American.
Very
It
cool.
was great to bring that platform to globally. Since there's 1 in 8 women that are diagnosed with breast cancer, it is very important that this platform was brought out to show that women can absolutely thrive and be something after breast cancer.
So we talk a lot about that on Soaring Profits is when someone's hit their darkest moment, when someone's on their knees, and I imagine that moment happened when your doctor looked at you and said that you have cancer. How do you rise up from that? How do you move forward? What kind of motivation inside? Was it the support of your family? Was it something personal that you did to be able to stand up again and be obviously the great motivator you are today?
Thank you.
What is that transition?
Well, my faith first, having faith and having that as my the core of everything for me. I have had love notes from God throughout the entire process, so I knew I was on the right journey. And I knew that if I had air in my lungs, I was still here for a reason. And so that is this. That is to be out here and talking about that. And of course, at that time, I had children who were 8 and 5. So it was showing my daughter what it looks like once you're told something like that you can rise above it, and showing my son that one day when he has someone special in his life, that this is what women can do. It was important to me. And so my faith grounded me and really gave me the grace to handle this, we'll say, with grace.
Yeah, faith is so important. Like we talk about that too. Like both Pat and I are faithful people, and we stand stronger because we know that we have someone guiding us and leading us. And I think Soaring Profits has been led a lot because we need people like you that get to share those important stories. So what do you think that you're going to garner by being here at Healthcare Amplify with all these amazing people around you? Do you think you'll learn from them, or has there been a moment that already that you're like, this is going to help me?
Well, I just got here, so I'm excited to go through everything and talk to people, but I always take away amazing things from things like this. And that's the beautiful thing about life. It is not just about what I'm able to give, but I get far more from people than I'm able to give. So I have no doubt at a place like this, at such an amazing Healthcare Amplified Summit, that I will definitely be taking away lots of things.
I always talk about that when I do this podcast. If one person, I don't care if 30,000 people see it, if one person reaches out and go, hey, you help me. Do you have that moment in your career so far that you remember where someone came up to you and said, if it wasn't for you, I wouldn't move forward?
I have several of those moments because I am able to talk to so many breast cancer warriors, and I take, like I said, far more from them than I am able to give. But I also work as the director of corporate affairs for a national hospice. So it is incredible to be with people who are at end of life. So I see this journey from 2 different ways. I see it from a survivorship, but the things that I'm able to take away are really from my hospice patients, that I'm able to see them handle end of life with such dignity. And absolutely one of the holiest parts is birth and death. And so to give them that time and see them handle it with so much dignity, it's amazing. And I get so much from that.
That's incredible.
So as you've popped in here today. This is the inaugural
Yes.
Healthcare Amplified. So again, stratosphere is where we're shooting with this for moving on from this. But why do you think that the Healthcare Amplified is important for practitioners, people in that professional space, to come here as well? Like, you're doing it from a motivational side, you're bringing a little celebrity, and again, thank you so much for being here to join us. But why is it important that these practitioners get out there and be able to spread their message to their patients, inform, generate that podcast interest? Is it from a patient perspective? Is there something a little bit more that they can have, that kind of amplified bedside manner?
Oh, that's a great thing.
What does that look like?
Yeah, I think that is extremely important. I think physicians, I'm not a physician. Thank goodness, nobody would want me to be their physician. But I think that it's important because what we do is we look at podcasts and we look at social media for everything now. What's the one thing we do when we are diagnosed or something? I mean, it could be anything that we're diagnosed with.
Yeah.
What do? We Google it. We go on social media. So I think this is really where it's at. I think podcasting, being out in front of people, even as a physician, that's what people want to see. And they want to see you on your everyday,
Absolutely.
not just with your lab coat.
Yes.
Yeah.
And that's kind of the message that we're trying to get across here with Healthcare Amplified Summit, is that if you are at home and you're running a practice, if you're running a pharmacy, if you're running a physio clinic, you have to be dialing this in for your space. And it's going to be, like we just had Sia and all, is that, you can hide a dead body on the second page of Google search. You have to be garnering that content. You have to be in front of your audience. And Krisdee, I want to thank you so much for joining us today. It's a pleasure. We've had such amazing experiences here at Healthcare Amplified Summit. We've got special people doing special things in a special space. And I want to thank you at home. Make sure you like and subscribe and share. Krisdee, how do they get in touch with you? Where do they follow you? How are they getting in kind of contact, maybe do some business with you?
Yeah, awesome. I do a lot of speaking around the country and love to speak with corporations about thriving after life storms. You can look at my website at www.KrisdeeClark.com. Follow me on Instagram at Krisdee2000 or the Blonde Bombshell 22.
Definitely follow this woman because she has an amazing story and she is one of those champions. And we're hoping to get her on again. Maybe we'll try.
I love it.
And it's these stories that I love. These stories where you face your darkest moment and you rise above. And if you're facing a dark moment right now, I'm telling you right now, there is a light ahead of you. Whether it is faith or it is just you can stand up again. You will find that joy again in your life, no matter what it is. This young lady has just proven she saw cancer, looked it in the face, and rose above. You can too. So I'm going to ask you right now, I want you to give you a tidbit, some sort of thought that will help people that are hurting right now to rise above. Can you help us out?
Yeah, one of my favorite stories is David and Goliath in the Bible.
Yeah.
And I always say that every one of us is David. We just have to find the David within us and take that slingshot, shoot it at that Goliath, and I promise you, you will be king and rise above.
I love that.
As always, folks, let's make some money together and
Let's heal our minds, bodies, and souls. Love y'all.
take care.
Bye.